hoping I was dead, wouldn't you? You're hoping that I was gone. Gone to the ages. Disappeared. You've always wanted to be gone. Oh so much is going on in the modern world today. Oh so much is going on. Russell Dickerson. Oh, no, that's bad. Bring him back. Oh, there we go. On K-Frog. Today we have K-Frog, and it's running. I like that. It's running. Sometimes K-Frog doesn't pick up well in California. In Southern California, they need to boost that signal. So sometimes you don't get, but today we're getting K-Frog all the way with Gary Allen and no wait. In yours, what's going on?
This is SoCal's country station.
That's right.
Music I want to hear.
K-Frog.
K-Frog. I wasn't lying. It is K-Frog. Oh. Today's kind of hot. It's kind of hot, so I'm just gonna let it rip. Oh man, it's been a good weekend. It's been a really good weekend. We went to the beach to do some whale hunting. It was fantastic. We got on a boat. We basically got lucky to get on the boat because they ran out of tickets. We put ourselves on the waiting list. And then for some reason we got lucky and they let us on this really nice ship. And it was beautiful. The sea was so calm that nobody got motion sickness. It was great. Just great. We saw hundreds of dolphins and sea lions. It was just great. Overall experience was just fantastic. The ship was comfortable. There was a guy up front who was very knowledgeable about whales and all kinds of stuff. He had like the head of the bones structure for the whales, I think, and a whale. It was pretty cool. Anyway, the whole thing was fantastic. We had a great time, and so it was worth doing. I can't remember which beach we went to, but it was awesome. Maybe I'll find out and I'll let you guys know. But anyway, I've got my usual books today, as I do when I make these videos, but so much has gone on since the beginning of time. But no, since last time, our last confession, last time we went online to do a live stream was a while back. A lot has happened between then and now. Some good things, some bad things, some sad things. Where to start? Where to begin? Because so many things are going on in the modern world, and it feels like genetically as humans, we are defeating ourselves, and it is kind of sad. It's kind of sad. What about the elephant in the room? Just started watching. Patrick Bet-David was doing a nice live stream this morning with Valuetainment. It was really fun. To see Don Lemon getting canceled is quite a reversal. It's quite a reversal. But anyway, should we cancel him for making a big mistake? I don't know. I'm kind of gonna get into that today. What happened with that? But Don Lemon. I think they pulled up an old video of Don Lemon from when he was younger, and he sounded like Donald Duck, and it was like quack 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 quack. So that's kind of interesting, how the evolution of even an individual. Let's not talk about just the evolution of the man, the species of humankind or whatever, but just the evolution of one man and how they change over a certain period of time is quite unique and interesting to look at. But then also, as I was saying before, there's some real big issues. Over the weekend, I made a couple of funny videos, and one of the questions that came up is, would you be more crushed? Would you be more crushed if your significant other, boyfriend, husband, whatever, was to, either leave you or you leave them, and then you look into their future and you find that they moved on, they found someone else, and now everything's great? Or would you be more crushed if your significant other joins the "I don't need no man, I don't need no woman" philosophy, which is happening today in the modern world? What seems to be happening is, and again, not so much from the males, but from the females, "I don't need no man, I don't need no man" is kind of becoming the thing. And let me just say that this is a little bit troubling for one specific reason. One, it's the interconnection and the intertwining of how technology and the way we live on Earth is, because this is destroying a lot of opportunities for people, right? In so many different ways. So let's start with just saying the basics is that when I was growing up, there was only one blueprint of how to live a successful life. And I'm not saying we should go back to that, because Pandora's box has been opened and there are so many interesting different possibilities in the realm of today. So I'm not saying go back to that model. So the only blueprint that existed when I was growing up was boy meets girl or girl meets boy. They try to figure out if they're in alignment, and then they create a family out of that. So that was like the family unit. It's gotten way more interesting now with the blueprint. Now it can be boy meets boy, and then they create a family, whether it is through adoption or through the magic of science. That can work. And then there's girl meets girl, and that is something. And then there's all kinds of different other dynamics going on. And one of the most popular one is the old setup, which was boy meets girl or girl meets boy, and then they have like a couple swap or something. That's big in Italy. I was hearing about this from my aunt a while back, and I was like, really, this is going on? This is a big thing in Italy? But apparently it's been going on a lot. Because I don't know if I agree with it, I don't know if I like it, but it's been going on. And it's just the modern world has so many different options, right? But for me, when I was growing up, it was like veganism. There was very limited option. There was just one way of doing things, and you either gotten bored or you got stared down, and all that jazz. But why is this a problem in the modern world? And again, back in the day, I'm not sure if it was like 10 or even more years ago, I wrote a little novel. It was a short story, not really a novel, a short story about a new race called the Fenma. And regardless of the fact that they were basically sexless beings, the point was that, although they were sexless beings, they were still attracted to each other. So no matter whether they were, the fact was they were neither male nor female. And although this was going on, they still cared about each other. So they would bring each other together, and there was less controversy simply because it was like mix and match, and it didn't really matter what you look like, because you could still reproduce. And basically the idea was that you could reproduce in a different way that was not the way that we do on planet Earth, like most species do. And so these beings that were basically sexless were still able to enjoy all the pleasure of what humans can, but without the drawbacks of all the controversy that's been going on in the modern world. And it's kind of interesting that seems to be, because of modern technology, the way people are headed, which could be disturbing to some people. But yeah, I kind of seen this, at least in my imagination, going back at least 10 years. Anyway, I don't know exactly how many years ago, but a long time ago, because I was writing this thing. I can still remember I was still in school in Italy at the English School of Milan, British School of Milan, and I was writing this stuff together, and I was like, could this be the future? But anyway, one of the biggest issues that's going on now is that the potential blueprint is going to completely change. But anyway, one of the issues that has always been in the human species is that we like to distort and modify everything. Unlike the other species, which are very simplistic, we push the envelope of everything to the next level. And although back in the day they tried to be very, very minimalistic about the approach, and they were like, oh, there's only 2 sexes, we know that is not a thing. It is not a thing, guys. If you look at the entire animal kingdom, scientists have determined that there are more than 2 sexes. There are at least 3 sexes that we know of that are in existence today. So all those people jumping up and screaming about there's only 2 sexes, you guys are scientifically wrong, okay? Male, female, hermaphrodite. It's always been the case. And so you guys can Google it up, you can Siri it up, you can Amazon it up, or you could just go to the public library and read about it. I mean, I don't know. Get your facts straight. There's never been only 2 sexes. The species overall on the planet Earth have always had 3 sexes. So with that being said, what is the problem? The problem is, in a world where our technology keeps pushing us towards concepts such as, I don't need no man, I don't need no woman, and that kind of thing, aren't we being pushed towards the 3rd sex, which is basically being completely self-sufficient and pushing more and more humans towards the idea of becoming single parents, either a man raising kids or a woman raising kids on their own? Because this is where I think it's going. So we're not able to find common ground with each other anymore. You don't see that anymore in our ways of thinking and philosophy. You see all these people, especially the younger generation, I think with millennials, which is my generation, I guess, 1983 and beyond. I think this is probably the cutoff where I'm not sure if there will be any more of this, let's intermingle and try to make a family work. I don't know. Because the next blueprint could be man loves robot, right? And robots are good enough. If you guys should go watch a couple of Netflix, there's a movie called I Am Mother that's very interesting. I Am Mother, where a robot takes the role of parent and is perfectly capable of doing that. And then there's another one, which is a Netflix series called Better Than Us. And you'll notice in that one as well, it kind of shows how a robot could take over the role of a parent there too, and be better, if you will, in a kind of dystopian way and whatever. But anyway, so this is kind of like where sci-fi and Hollywood and everything, Hollywood, Disney magic, but also society, social media, everything is pushing us. Again, I can't say whether I like it, where I dislike it, but I kind of am a little bit concerned if that means that human beings moving forward are going to be, we've had all kinds of generations, right? We've had we have boomers, baby boomers, the millennial. I can't even, there's so many that just come up with new labels. Who knows? But the next version, and I'm warning you guys ahead of time about this, is what we're going to see is the TTG, what I call the TTG, the test tube generation, where, you know, I don't need a man, I don't need a woman, I'm gonna love a robot and make it work. So you're going to have marriages between humans and robots. And I saw this coming. As I said before, I was writing about this stuff way back when I made that novel. The idea of a sexless race of humans, or biological creatures, if you will, lizard people, if you want, who would then create these new sort of families. But the point that I still lacked knowledge of back then was I still thought that these sexless beings, who could, you know, enjoy everything that we enjoy, climax and all, would still come together to form like units, family units and stuff. But it looks like I was wrong at that point, because it looks like it's going to be more like everybody for himself kind of thing. So that is kind of my worry here at this point, is when you push that envelope even further, where does that lead to? I don't know. That's a good answer. That's a good question for you guys. Maybe you could put it in the comments or figure it out, or let me know on my other social media, because nothing happens on YouTube. Which brings me to the next point. That my platonic love, Susan, has removed herself from YouTube. Some say she's fired. I don't think she was fired. She probably just removed herself from the whole thing. She's like, I'm done. I'm moving on. But it's fine, because the machines have taken over anyway. So I don't think that she was doing much other than just watching hundreds of thousands, possibly millions of people on YouTube blasting away at her for not giving us what we wanted to begin with, which was simply customer service representatives, if you will, and a way, some kind of way, if any way at all, to give us the opportunity to make money. I mean, it is so complicated. It is so complicated to set up a YouTube account and make money. Now, you can start a YouTube account easily. You just have to have an email, a Gmail account, and it automatically starts a YouTube channel. But to go from there to make money, that is such a burden. Anyway, I guess since she already abdicated all of her power to the algorithm and wasn't really doing anything else at YouTube, she decided to step down and spend time with her family, which is a good thing. Good on you. Again, I don't want to get in trouble again. My platonic love. Anyway, guys. So Susan left us, which I think is a bad thing, because at least we could have still appealed to her feminine and lovely side, and possibly something could have happened with enough years of her still being there. She could have made something happen for us, but she's gone. She's being replaced. My other issue there is, now the people, even if this other dude does just this much better, all he has to do is this much better, the new CEO, then people will say, well, you see, it was a woman in power. We gave her shot and she sucked at it. And so now the next guy is doing maybe this much better. You see, we should have kept the man in power. Because that's how it always goes, right? That's how it always goes. And I lost another one. We lost the lady with the best, most amazing hair has left politics. I won't mention who it is. But anyway, I was gonna bring out at 2,000 subscribers. I was gonna bring out my nice keyboard and show you the Bloomberg keyboard that I own. But you know, she left before I could do anything with that, and yeah, that was sad in of itself. I wanted to do that for you guys, but it's too late. Anyway, at a very young age, what I realized is, and this goes back to what I was talking about, technology and how it's influencing the overall universe, our universe as things go, and how the gatekeepers of genetics, which are women, are shooting themselves in the foot, right? So I was a young kid. I was still in school. I was trying to figure things out, and I watched an episode of Friends. So we have Matt LeBlanc, which is Joey Tribbiani, and he's struggling to make his career run. So he goes, well, what can I do to make a couple of extra bucks? Sperm bank, right? So I was thinking, okay, well, I was pretty much in the same kind of predicament, just finishing off my undergraduate school. Well, not really. It was like a bachelor's degree in England. So I thought maybe I'll make some money on the side. What can I do? I had already tried doing the waiting tables thing. And unfortunately, the problem with that was it was during the later hours of the day. So I was spending most of the time in school, then studying for my exams, and then I would have to go out on top of that to go do like working nights, waiting tables, cleaning forks and whatever, doing whatever it takes to do the restaurant business. And maybe I should have just gone that route. I should have just dropped out of school and done that, because that would have probably been a more profitable and better venture. Because I already had like a I could easily have gotten my the tax code basically for England. It was the EU was happening and all that stuff. And I already had a friend that was working in the industry, so she gave me the heads up, hey, you want to work with me? But I was getting really bad headaches after that, and I just did not have enough hours to just complete my work and do that together. So I was just weak. Let's just face it. I was just weak, so I didn't pursue that. So I thought sperm bank. And I came to the realization really fast that although I'd never thought that, I'd never overstated my capabilities. Never thought that I could walk on water or anything like that. Never thought I was super confident or anything like that. I was a very shy kid, as I said before. The only way that I could ever walk on water would be if I went to Canada and I found a nice frozen body of water, and then probably be fat and it would still go under. But for a couple of seconds, I might be able to wobble on the ice and stay up there. Other than that, I sink right to the bottom. I haven't been known to sink. I have almost no buoyancy. I'm a pretty good swimmer, which I've had to become because I have no buoyancy. So when I do get into the pool, I tend to sink right to the bottom. Anyway, so with that said, I thought sperm bank is going to be perfect. I could just donate a little bit and get some money off the side. But then and there, I discovered that I was a human reject. Basically what they told me is, you're not tall enough to provide the human race with your sperm. Unbelievable. But anyway, this is where it's going, guys. So again, as you saw, that was my first realization about what women want in reality, right? They're all about looking for the ideal man and not understanding what is really out there for them that is actually good for them. And that was my first realization right there, that I was already obsolete. Tell that to, I can't remember if I was like a 20-year-old kid or whatever. Tell that to a 20-year-old kid. You are already a human reject and you no longer belong on Earth. Forget about it. You're never going to find a woman because you are already a human reject. Fancy that, guys. Fancy that. Go start telling a bunch of kids. If any kid in their 20s watches the show and they are 5'7" and below, let me tell you, you are already a human reject. Nobody wants your sperm. Nobody wants to make a family with you. Nobody wants you. Anyway, that was my first realization about how technology can automatically out you. Already back then, technology was already taking my resume or my genetic material and saying, it's worthless, trash. And then in the modern world, I showed you recently, I tried to apply for a postman job here in Irvine, California, Woodbridge, and a computer program again said, marker reviews, you are worthless, thunk. Same thing. So we have to be very careful in our modern society to understand that we're giving machines and we are giving women all of this power. But the thing is, it's not bad for women to have power. It is their mindset in the right place, right? Because as one of the few human beings that is left on planet Earth who believes that a woman over 40 is the ideal woman, because she's reached a point in her life where, you know, she's gotten all the drama out, she's had her fun, she possibly already had her kids and all that stuff, and now she has stories to tell, and she's more interesting and more beautiful and all that kind of stuff, which I care about. Like, let's say, again, as I always say on this channel and all the other channels, I'm not in the market for anybody. But if I was, I'd be looking at 40s, somewhere into their 50-ish, somewhere around there. That's like the sweet spot, because that's where the women are the most interesting and more beautiful, in my opinion. But this human reject of a human, right? My genetic material, which, you know, like, remember that movie Oblivion with my better looking brother? So women should be looking at men like me and going, this is the kind of man, this is the kind of, you know, man that likes me, that cares about me, and that would actually make my life happier. And they're going, thunk, trash, trash, trash. And they're going for the, you know, the other kind of men who are like, okay, woman, you're fantastic from whatever age until 40. Now I'm gonna replace you. Yes, you've had we've had kids, blah 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 blah. But you know, I'm going for the younger model, 20 and stuff, and I'm gonna start again, because now I'm successful. I've got my Maserati, I've got all my stuff, my mansion, blah blah blah. Why do I need you? I mean, you can continue taking care of my kids, but you know, you're done, you're finished, you're disgusting, blah blah blah, you've expired. So this just shows you the complete antithesis, right? The antithesis. So the women are falling for the anti-hero. The women are falling for their anti-heroes, and they're discarding the genetic material of the people who actually could love them. So this is kind of sad. This is really sad. But this is where this whole social media thing, I don't need no man, I don't need no woman, is taking us. And I don't know. I don't know. Will it be good in the end? Will it be bad? I don't know. I don't have answers for you guys. But what I will say is this. The women don't seem to be very happy. And they're making all these really odd choices where they're discarding the kind of men that would really make them happy. And they're chasing all the other kind of men who obviously are not making them happy. And, you know, even when they do get into the marriage, they get to age 40 and they're like, well, now you're a human reject. We don't want you anymore because we're going to chase the woman that's 20 years of age and stuff like that because she's appealing. And yeah, wow, what a society. Good job, guys. Again, guys, don't look at me. I was the human reject from the very beginning. I'm just showing you guys what society, what you guys have created. Don't look at me like that. Don't look at me like that. I didn't come up with this stuff. I didn't make the rules. You made your rules. You did what you wanted to do. And look at society now. Just saying. Again, totally for all the different other blueprints that were out there. Boy, girl, boy, boy, girl, girl, whatever in between, so long as people still sort of come together to make some kind of unit, some kind of, way to stay together and collaborate towards a common goal and be some kind of family thing. But we're going towards man loves robot, woman loves robot, and the TTG, the test tube generation. I've warned you, again, as I always say, guys, the human reject of society is right here. The human reject is right here. And I was thinking about these things 10 years ago, at the very least, 10 years ago, writing little novels. Not novels, short stories about what could be the future. And I hadn't anticipated this. I hadn't anticipated that people would just completely reject each other. And it's going to be a very interesting, non-communicational society. It's going to be interesting. Again, I'm a little bit concerned about the modern generations and how they will feel, because as humans, we're not robots. So we do have feelings, at least some of us do. Some of us who are more empathetic have feelings. So it could be pretty devastating. Imagine as you're growing up and you're in a family and your mom or your dad is a robot because your other counterpart is in that kind of relationship. And then at some point you realize that your future, basically your son or your daughter to be, is going to be a TTG, a test tube generation. And again, maybe that's okay because with modern medicine and all that stuff, the test tube generation children won't have as many diseases. They will be more genetically capable. They won't worry about getting fat because they will have genetically modified a bunch of things. I don't know. But psychologically, the whole thing about human beings looking at themselves, right? Looking at themselves and then looking at nature and going, but look at nature. There's a male deer, a female deer. They do stuff, and then there's baby deer. Why have humans evolved this way, right? I don't know. It should be surreal. It should be surreal. You guys should be thinking about this stuff, because that's where we're going. Again, don't look at me. It's not something that I chose. I saw it. I didn't see it this far. My brain didn't push it and see it to that extent. I was still hoping for some kind of, amalgamation, some kind of chemistry still being there between human to human, or biological being to biological beings, because souls do kind of want company to some extent. So this is going to be quite an interesting future that we're going into. Anyway, I can't get no satisfaction. I can't get no satisfaction. Oh, thank goodness for Valuetainment Saucecast, because at the very least I have Natalia. Thank goodness she shows up and she owns the room with that beautiful face and pearly whites. And she makes me feel a little bit better about myself, because I constantly create new words that don't exist, but I do it accidentally. And just made me feel a little bit better about myself by showing up, and I can't get no satisfaction. So thanks, shout out to her and the Saucecast for bringing important things out there into the world. Again, guys, remember this. In the social dynamics that exist, as much as we'd like to say equal, male and females are not going to be equal. So if you think that you're going to be meeting an alpha woman and you are super girly, there's nothing like at all masculine about you, whether you're an athlete, you have to have something. You have to have something that is masculine about you, because otherwise your relationship is going to be short-lived. Whether you're athletic, whether you've got some kind of, like ability to talk to the lady or whatever it is, you've got to have some kind of edge. You can't be 100% feminine, because that's a turnoff for all ladies, regardless of who you are. If you're going for an alpha, even if it's an alpha woman, so you're thinking she's mostly like male-ish, she's still going to be turned off by a completely feminine man. There's got to be something. It could even be the voice. The voice still has to be masculine. Anyway, oh man, what an episode. I hope you guys are going to have some nightmares. I hope this episode gets seen, because, oh man, I guess with my generation, women 40s and over, you guys are probably not going to be loved. Yeah. I think that's kind of sad. And again, this is something you guys did to yourselves. Sperm bank. The men who are earnest, loving, dependable, don't cheat, and all that stuff, you guys have rejected from the beginning of time, for the more adventurous, the chase. Remember, have you guys seen what's that show? Is it like Perfect Match or something? Perfect Match. They kind of brought a lot of people from the circle. Perfect Match. They brought a bunch, but anyway, there's this guy Chase, and he's just basically a playa. And yeah, so you women have been valuing these playas. They got mansions, they've got 25 cars in their garages, multiple mansions, of course. Take you on jets and all that stuff, like Taylor Swift, right? Taylor Swift talks about these men in her songs. I'm a Swiftie for a reason. And then these men, they trash you. You're going to have a happy life from the time that you get married until maybe your 40s, and then you're going to be rejected, kicked to the curb for the next model. Or even worse, you may just be marrying into slavery, because everything they do monetarily, all the stuff that they do for you guys monetarily, is about them. They want you to be super skinny all the time. They want you to have the best hair, the makeup, and all that stuff. But if you ever ask them something for them to give you that's outside of that, like education or something for the soul. Hey honey, can I get that instrument because I want to learn an instrument, or something like that. If it doesn't fall within that hair, nails, makeup, booty, abs, they're like, nah. Nah. Oh. The gatekeepers of genetics are basically destroying themselves. I know. You think it's my fault. You want to hate on me. It's not my fault. I don't make the rules. Anyway, guys, let's go into some investments, because this is where everybody leaves, because I'm going to start talking about edumacation. So the second you start talking about educational content and stuff, that's when everybody leaves. They wanted to hear about the first part. They don't want to hear about this next part. Anyway, let's jump in. It's kind of too hot today. So even with my jacket, I'm feeling a little heat. But not enough to put on the AC. But the problem is, if I don't, again, I am fine, but the iPhone 13 mini might explode. So that's the issue I'm running into right now with the sun and the angle and all that stuff. What if the iPhone 13 mini goes out of whack. That's my only concern. Because us lizard people, we might just do a little this and we're fine. But the technology that we run and rely upon for our live streams might not make it. It might not make it. So what do you guys all think about the modern way? Is it everything you'd hope for? Is it everything you'd hope for? Anyway, strategies are proprietary. It says return is the ultimate and in a lot of cases the only objective. I think I've read this bit, but I'm going to reread it and a couple more pages because that's what I do. Risk management is not considered central to the success of the investment process. Regulatory and compliance constraints are considered to be a drag on performance. The importance of scenario generation in risk management was emphasized by several sources. Professor Leo noted that Princeton's John Mulvey and the University of British Columbia's William Ziba both recommend the use of stochastic programming to optimize asset management relative to liabilities. Professor Leo remarked, "What we can learn from the stochastic programming culture is how to generate scenarios and how to incorporate them in our portfolio selection process." One of the okay, calm down. One of Professor Zimba's key points is that it is often more important to avoid blow up in bad scenarios than to get the highest possible return in good scenarios. According to Professor Leo, scenario generation can help integrate the tools and models we now have with aspects of stress testing to develop truly total integrated risk management. GMO's Mr. Montier, 2012, argued that risk is not a number, but a permanent impairment of capital. He suggested that we should think about risk along three dimensions that damage capital: valuation risk, buy an overvalued asset, fundamental or real business risk, and financial risk, including leverage and overcrowding, investors flocking to particular stocks. Sources suggest that risk management calls for a greater use of common sense than was the case in the recent past. However, many remarked that common sense is not that common, especially, excuse my humanity, when it goes against a person's perceived interests. Nevertheless, when financial markets and the real economy become too misaligned, as we saw, for example, with the dot-com bubble and the housing and MBS bubble, bells should start to ring. In his keynote presentation at the third annual CFA Institute European Investment Conference, John Kay, 2010, distinguished British economist and visiting professor at the London School of Economics, added to the list of things that he suggests must be used together with our models. His list includes logic, judgment, intuition, probabilities, and narratives. As for the idea that our definitions of risk are too narrow, PGGM's Jap Van Dam summed up the feeling in his observation that risk has many more dimensions than simply statistical dimensions. He said, "I feel that instead of diversifying to the max, we have to learn to think about softer, but in my opinion, very important risk mitigating factors. Factors like trust. Do we really trust the companies or people we invest with? Understanding. Do we understand how return is being generated and we can go wrong? Grip our control. If we see things developing in the wrong direction, can we influence them or can we only vote with our feet? This is a radical change versus world in which the basic recipe is invest in everything because that will maximize your diversification. Clearly, the notion of risk is being extended. Eric Valtonen, CEO of Zurich-based Blue Diamond Asset Management and former head of risk management and CIO at the Swedish buffer fund AP3, remarked, "The way risk management is applied is becoming more holistic, from narrow-minded number crunching to broader view that includes issues like liquidity and operational risks." Saker Nusenbeth, Saker Nusenbeth, CEO and head of investment at Hermes Fund Managers and chairman of 300 Club, added a risk that needs to be taken into consideration. Political risk. Oh yes, thank goodness for putting that risk in. It's big, they might say. Donald Duck might say it's bigly. In the thought piece, Political Risk, the Impact on Investors, published by Hermes, 2012, Dr. Nusenbay noted that it has been at least 2 generations since investors actively looked at the problem of political risk in the context of developed markets. They need to start, he suggested, and went on to explain. What is clear is that we are now approaching an era when investment decisions cannot be made without incorporating political risk into the equation. The way we approach investments has to change. Long embedded financial concepts such as mean reversions of efficient market theory are already lessening in importance. The investment world must wake up to the fact that we do not operate in hermetically sealed financial system. We now live in a political economy. You have to go to pages 4 and 5 for some reason. In summary, the current practice of risk management is considered by many to be inadequate. It uses inadequate risk measures. So, stochastic programming is a mathematical optimization technique based on generating scenarios. It is used for problems involving uncertainty when probability distributions governing the data are known or can be estimated. In asset management, stochastic programming is used in asset liability management to achieve diversification and protection from extreme events. See Ziemba and Mulvey, 1998. The 300 Club defines itself as a group of investment professionals who believe there is an urgent need to raise uncomfortable and fundamental questions about the foundations of the investment industry and investing. They believe that current finance and investment theory and practice fail investors when most needed. Anyway, if you want to find out about them a little bit more, you can go to http, I think it's a colon, don't quote me on it, it's got 2 dots in it, one on top of each other. And it says / www.the, as the word the, 300 as the number 300, club as the word club, all one word-ish, .org /. Just in case I said it wrong, I don't even know if you guys can see a single thing because of the glare of the sun. Anyway, it says, it is weak regarding credit risk. It does not, okay, so what was it referring to? So, in summary, the current practice of risk management is considered by many to be inadequate. It uses inadequate risk measures. So let's go on to this. So it is weak regarding credit risk. It does not take into account the fat-tailed nature of return distributions. It fails to cope with systemic risk. It fails to understand the processes that generate crises. It ignores some fundamental types of risk, from operational risk to geopolitical risk. Many suggest that a new level of risk culture will be needed if the effect of sharp swings in asset values is to be mitigated. The implications of these criticisms for the teaching and practice of risk management are discussed in later chapters. All right, guys, so starting tomorrow, we will jump into crises. Do we have the tools for modeling systemic risk, or do we not? Anything's better than the stark future of humans no longer. Because where does it go from there, right? Where does it go from there? Man loves robot, produces TTG, test tube generation. Where does it go from there to man loves robot and doesn't need to produce children because children are inconvenient to their lives, right? You know, you saw that latest and greatest video from some celebrity that was shown on both the PBD Valuetainment podcast, but also on the Valuetainment Saucecast. The same video was shown on both of them because it's kind of dangerous, right? The lifestyle of it could be a man or a woman, whoever, anything in between, who lives 100% selfishly and does not even care to reproduce at all or adopt or take care of children at all, in which case, I guess, if the human race moves onward, it's going to be exactly like that robot that I said, I Am Mother, where human beings are entirely raised by robots. There's no point in a family unit at all. It is just the human raised by the robot. And then when the human reaches a certain level of understanding and becomes of age or whatever, then the human just gets dumped in a pool. And then who knows what happens after that? Because, you know, a robot can only prepare you so far along as to what you can do with another human, but it does not have a soul itself. It does not understand the concept of soul. It doesn't understand the concept of empathy. It doesn't understand the concept of collaboration. So even if you were to program some of that stuff into the robot, we all understand that robots are limited in their real, because they don't have the feeling. So how does a robot explain that concept to a human? And then how does that human then, once it's been blasted into the actual world where it has to confront itself with another human, how does that work? I don't know. Again, lots of questions for you guys. It's going to be an interesting world. I don't know if I'm going to live to see it, but I kind of want to live to see it just to see how it works out. Because, you know, it's kind of like that movie that you want to watch that's coming out about sci-fi, and you have no idea how it's going to turn out, but you just really want to see. Right? Anyway. Paradise. So we're going to start today, and watch out, YouTube algorithm. Because you're gonna wanna do stuff with this next one. It's called a pussyfoot, and it refers to the pussycat. Okay, all right. Don't ban me. Don't ban the YouTube channel. A pussyfoot is a drink, apparently, but also it is a kitten. A kitten. Okay. Thank you. So let's jump into this book here, which is Voglia di cucinare, cocktail classici e esotici, giunti de metra. Anyway, ingredienti for a pussyfoot. Cosa bisogna fare? Se vogliamo mixare un pussyfoot, mixiamo un pussyfoot, ecco. Ingredienti: 7 decimi succo d'arancia, 3 decimi succo di limone, un tuorlo d'uovo, sciroppo di granita. Preparare miscelando nello shaker succo d'arancia, succo di limone e tuorlo d'uovo con cubetti di ghiaccio cristallino. Quindi servire in un bicchiere tumbler alto e spruzzare con sciroppo di granita. Now we're going to jump into one that's not as controversial. It's called the Planter's Punch. The Planter's Punch 1, let's see what it's like. Which in Italian would be il Planter's Punch. Il Planter's Punch numero 1. Ingredienti: 4 decimi rum bianco, 2 decimi succo d'ananas, 2 decimi succo di limone, 1 decimo curacao arancione, 1 decimo maraschino, 2 cucchiaini di tè di rum scuro. Ottimo. Versare rum bianco, succo d'ananas, succo di limone, curacao e maraschino in un bicchiere tumbler alto con alcuni cubetti di ghiaccio cristallino. Decorare con una fetta d'ananas e 2 ciliegine. Versare infine in superficie il rum scuro. And one more, we're going to do one more today, which is the Rob Roy. The Rob Roy, or I think with R. Moshe, Rob Roy. Anyway, if you guys don't get the joke, you're not Italian. But anyway, it's not a funny joke. Ingredienti: 4 quinti scotch whisky, 1 quinto vermouth rosso, 2 gocce di angostura bitter. Si prepara nel mixer glass con alcuni cubetti di ghiaccio cristallino e si serve nella coppetta da cocktail ben fredda, decorando con una ciliegina e con della scorza di limone. That's kind of awesome. So, awesome indeed. Tomorrow we will continue on with this amazing book where we're going to learn how to be a mixologist in Italian. So you won't learn anything because you can't understand Italian. And I'm sorry about that, but you can always Google it, you know? If you have one of those amazing Google phones, you could just tell it to translate what you just saw me enunciate in a language that is pretty dead. Nobody cares about it. In fact, I was looking for jobs for a long time here in Irvine, California, Woodbridge, and they don't seem to care about people who know Italian at all. They kind of care about people who speak French, but you have to be Canadian because, you know, like if your French is not 100% perfect and you haven't used it for a little while, they just, you know, again, human reject. Marker reviews. I've been told my entire life. Marker reviews. You're trash. You're useless. You suck. Go die somewhere. Thunk. That's how I've lived my life, guys. And I'm still here. I am still here. I'm still here. For how long? Can't tell you. Can't say. But I'm still here. Les motifs. I'm going to do a little bit of this, and probably that will be it for today, because it's getting late and stuff, and I've got a whole bunch of other things I need to do on the naughty websites, because, you know, maybe I could make some money on the naughty websites, since I can't make money on YouTube. The CEO of YouTube, the previous CEO of YouTube was not willing to allow me to make any money on YouTube. The new CEO is not going to let me make any money on YouTube. I failed in my mission to convince the previous CEO to allow me to make money on YouTube. So I doubt it's going to happen with the next one, but you know, I'm not going to stop trying. I'm going to continue to try. It could be, you know, a pointless task, but so has most of my life. So it's not like I'm starting on a new pointless task. It's always been a pointless task. All right. This is where we got to. Okay. All right, so this is probably an exercise that you need to do by yourself or in a group of camarades, which is students, or comrades. Anyway, it says, écoutons ensemble, réponse logique pour se saluer. It says, listen to the following initial statements and questions and choose the logical response. Mark each exchange as familiar or non-familiar. Then listen to the entire exchange to check your answers. So we don't have the cassette tape that goes with this thing, so we can't listen to nothing. We're as they say, crap out of luck. We're crap out of luck. So it says here, familier et non familier. Très bien, merci. Et vous? Je m'appelle Henri. À bientôt. So because we were not able to listen to the communication of whatever that is, all we have to go by is the responses here. And I'm going to say that it was supposed to be a non familier, according to what was said and marked here in the book. That was not my work. So anyway. Très bien, merci, et vous? Okay. I'm just going to read you guys these things. It won't help you either way, but I'm just going to read it for you guys. So, familier, non familier. In this case, it says familier. Je suis de Washington. Oui, ça va. So, oui, ça va is considered to be familier. Au revoir is C on that one. We've got familier et non familier, which is question number 3. It says pas mal. It says au revoir. Non, ça ne va pas. So B would be au revoir, which it says here, it ticked the box, non-familier. Question 4 is familier ou non familier. Très bien, merci, et vous? It says, je m'appelle Anne ou bonsoir. And so B would be je m'appelle Anne, which is non-familier. I hope they got it right, because if they got it left, we're going to be in trouble. Question 5, which is familier, non-familier. Merci, madame. Pas mal, et toi? Bonsoir, mademoiselle. C is bonsoir, mademoiselle, which is non-familier. I don't know. Familier, non-familier. A, which is bonjour, comment ça va? B is au revoir. C is bonsoir, monsieur. And au revoir, which would be B, is what they called familier. So we've got question 7, which is familier, non-familier again. A is je m'appelle Christophe. B is je suis de Washington. C is il est de New York. And the question B is je suis de Washington, which was non-familier. And then there's number 8, which is familier, non-familier again. A is elle s'appelle Juliette. B is moi aussi. C is il s'appelle Frédéric Lacoste. And C is il s'appelle Frédéric Lacoste, which was put under familier. So French people generally shake hands with friends, colleagues, and neighbors each time they meet. After a brief chat, they shake hands again while saying goodbye. People who are closer will be faire la bise, which means to kiss the cheeks, I guess, which consists of light contact on each cheek rather than a kiss. And some might say it is I think it's a 3. I think in Italian it's 2, but I could be wrong. It's been a while. It's been a while that I've done any of this because I haven't been in Europe for oh so many years. So anyway, activité, jouer le dialogue. So it says there's an activity and they want you to play a dialogue. Saluer 3 étudiants de la classe. Saluer 3 étudiants de la classe, which means say hello to 3 students in your class. Modèle. Bonjour. Salut Jean. Ça va? Oui, ça va. Ça ne va pas. Ça va très bien. Ça va très mal. Anyway. I could have been doing this. I could have been an expert at Bear Paints, still working there today, doing French, English, Italian customer service at Bear Paints. But they said no. No, Marker Reviews. Your French doesn't meet our expectation. Neither does your genetic material. In fact, you are an insolent, conniving son of a gun who must who must be punished for being absolutely awkward and stupid. Thunk. Oh, society. Don't you just love society? I love society. And they love me, especially much. Much, much, much. All kinds of levels of much. Anyway, shall I read one more page, or we'll leave this to tomorrow? We'll leave this to tomorrow. It's gotten pretty long. I've been jabbering away for like 65 minutes now. It's almost that favorite number of mine, which rhymes with 69. Oh, in the latest and greatest world that you guys have created, that you have created. Don't look at me. I didn't vote in Italy. I didn't vote in America because I thought it was stupid and it didn't bring anything good. And I was right. Look at the world that we live in. How many more people are you going to see out there? Don't forget that. Remember how all those pageant ladies, they're all beautiful and perfect and all that stuff. And they go out on stage and they do this and stuff, right? They get prepared. And then one of the important questions that I asked them, what would you do? You know, if you could do this, if you could fix that. They're all about fixing poverty, making the world a better place, ending homelessness. Let me just tell you something. All the men that you are putting up on a pedestal of the genetic material that you guys want don't want to fix homelessness. They don't want to fix it. They don't want to fix it. They know they can. They have the money to. They don't want to fix it. So again, think about that. While you keep taking genetic material of the people who actually do want to fix stuff, like myself, who could make you a happy woman, even after your 40s, because some men like me think that women are like fine wine. They get better and more interesting and more beautiful as they age, 40s and up. And you're just tossing all the people like me away. Anyway, I'm gonna see you. Look at the world that you've created. You've created it. Don't look at me. I'll see you.